Propaganda article and propaganda section in the newspaper, 1948. Chapter 1 High ideological content. A propaganda article must be deeply rooted in Marxist-Leninist theory. It should illuminate current events through the lens of scientific communism and equip the masses with the ideas of Lenin and Stalin. The goal is to guide the people towards strengthening the Soviet state and achieving a communist society. This ideological foundation is considered paramount. Bolshevik militancy and intolerance. The article must be militant and display intolerance toward the enemies of Bolshevism. It should actively combat bourgeois ideology and expose its flaws. The author should be passionate and uncompromising in their criticism of opposing viewpoints. This includes fighting against any manifestations of a lack of ideology or remnants of capitalism in people's minds, such as subservience to foreign ideas. Creative approach to theory. Propagandists must creatively apply theory to specific situations, showing a deep understanding of the subject matter and the historical context. They should avoid dogmatism and instead engage in critical analysis. Quoting from third-hand sources without understanding and independent thought is unacceptable. A creative approach involves thorough study and the ability to connect theory with life. Connection of theory with practice. A propaganda article should effectively link theory to the practical realities of the time, making theory more accessible and relevant to the reader. It should provide an analysis of events from a Marxist-Leninist perspective. It should not merely present facts, but also delve into the underlying causes and motivations. It's important to avoid simply listing facts and figures without proper analysis. Purposefulness and truthfulness. Propaganda must serve the political and economic goals of the party and the state. It should present the truth to the masses, avoiding the beautification of reality or the concealment of difficulties. It should be a guide for action and should help the people understand how to fight for the ideals of communism. The power of propaganda lies in its truthfulness and how it resonates with people's lived experiences. Ability to converse with the masses. The language of a propaganda article should be clear, simple, and accessible to the masses, avoiding complex terminology and jargon. It should respect the intelligence of the reader, encouraging them to think critically and draw their own conclusions. The article should be tailored to the specific audience it is intended for, considering their level of understanding and needs. It should avoid being condescending or overly simplistic. The power of logic. The article must be logically coherent, with each point building upon the previous one. It should guide the reader toward the desired conclusion without forcing it upon them. Clear and logical arguments are key to persuading the audience. Form of presentation. The article should be engaging, using vivid language, examples, and literary comparisons. However, it should avoid unnecessary embellishments or overly dramatic language. The style should be concise and to the point. Chapter 2 The role of the newspaper as a collective propagandist. The text highlights that the Bolshevik Party views the newspaper as a collective propagandist, agitator, and organizer. This underscores the importance of the press in shaping public opinion and mobilizing the population toward the goals of the party. The newspaper is seen as a tool to illuminate all aspects of life with the light of scientific socialism. Evolution of propaganda and the need for adaptation. The document notes that propaganda must evolve with changing times, discarding outdated methods and adopting new ones to stay relevant. Organizational structure. The Central Committee of the Party, CC, has consistently emphasized the need for special departments within newspapers to focus on party education and propaganda. These departments should be staffed with theoretically sound and experienced communists. The CC has also stressed the importance of collecting and sharing the best practices of leading propagandists. The CC has issued directives for newspapers to publish articles on theoretical aspects of Marxism-Leninism, host consultations, print lectures from leading propagandists, and respond to readers' questions. In 1938, the Central Committee issued a decree about the publication of a short course on the history of the All-Union Communist Party, Bolsheviks, which was designed to unify the different elements of Marxist-Leninist teaching, show the connection between historical materialism and the history of the party, and train party members in Marxism-Leninism. Critiques of existing practices. The document criticizes the low ideological and cultural standards of some regional newspapers, citing their failure to regularly publish theoretical articles or engage local propaganda resources. It points out the lack of systematic propaganda regarding the post-war 5-year plan and the insufficient analysis of the philosophical discussion of G. Alexandrov's book. Key tasks for propaganda departments. Communist education. The primary task of newspaper propaganda is to educate the Soviet people in the spirit of communism and combat any remnants of capitalism in their consciousness. This includes fighting subservience to foreign influences and promoting Soviet patriotism. Combating bourgeois ideology. Newspaper propaganda departments need to fight against bourgeois ideology and other forms of anti-Soviet viewpoints. Promoting socialist consciousness. Propaganda departments should contribute to the socialist consciousness of the masses and combat harmful influences. Explaining the party line. The department is responsible for explaining and supporting the party's goals and objectives. Disseminating Marxist-Leninist theory. Newspapers must actively disseminate Marxist-Leninist theory, explain the works of Lenin and Stalin, and assist readers in their study. Providing guidance to agitators. Newspapers should provide materials to aid agitators in their work. Promoting scientific understanding. Newspapers should publish articles and lectures that promote a scientific understanding of the world and counter religious beliefs. Promoting the post-war 5-year plan. Newspapers need to tie their propaganda to the post-war 5-year plan, promoting its goals. Improving the quality of propaganda. The document calls for a higher quality of articles, which should be relevant, engaging, and logically sound. It advocates for more variety in the types of materials published, including articles, consultations, lectures, and responses to readers' questions. It calls for a stronger connection with the reader. The importance of an active and qualified staff. The department should be staffed by individuals who are well versed in theory and have experience in propaganda. The department should function as a creative laboratory, involving propagandists in planning, developing, and editing content. The document stresses the need for the department to work with and learn from the local activist community of propagandists. Active engagement with readers. Newspapers should engage with readers' questions and concerns, offering clear and relevant answers.